Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word in sincerity and truth. All right, so this is something that I wrote down in my notes yesterday. I was reading the book Nature Knows No Color Line. I got to a part where he was talking about how in some places, or let me say it this way. He said that in the places where you think racism would be most prevalent, it was actually the opposite, right? So he said that really it was more of a class thing, right? Based on where you were in your class, right? And so I'm trying to remember. I don't have it. I left the book at work, but in any case, I did write down one thing that he said was how that women were even lower in class than, or let me say it this way, instead of saying even lower, they were lower in class than men, period. So they were the ones who really got the short end of the stick, if you will, or the treatment of a lower class citizen, and not in a bad way, but in a way where, again, the woman is second fiddle. And he mentioned the word Femina, right? Which I got it pulled up somewhere right here. I tried to find exactly the excerpt. This book came up, and I didn't want to get into that stuff there. But this is the word here, just Femina, right? And basically, what the title of this is, right, is what feminine means. And Elder Apostle Kabar brought this out some years ago. Fe is the Latin term for faith, right? Fe, and then the Mina is Latin for minus, right? So this is what you get the title of this book. I clicked on this and I read a little bit of it, but wasn't something I was into, and it didn't really touch on what I was looking for. But in any case, as I was reading that, he kind of went through, a couple of different paragraphs. I didn't get through it. I had to get back to work, but why I wrote it down is because it seems like men of old, or men of yesteryear, or antiquity, however you want to call that, men in ancient times, seem to understand the mindset and behavior of the woman, right? And when you read through the scriptures, there's a lot of warning-like words and verbiage in there for when you're dealing with the woman, right? But it seems like today, or it not seems like, it's written in prophecy, it seems like today that the woman has been pedestalized, right? And they've kind of taken it. If you look at, like a snapshot of social media, they've taken that pedestalization of themselves and really allowed it to bolster their pride, right? And because of that, right, because of that pride that they walk with, they're gonna pay in a great way for that pride that they've carried throughout these times. So I wanted to go to let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Got Jeremiah 31. Let's start there. This is Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." Right? And you see that. It's when you look at social media. Give me a second. So when you look at social media, whether it be Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or Snapchat or any of these social media platforms, you get this picture of, uh, again, the pedestalization of the woman, right? And that's what the prophecy said. It's an indicator of the time we're in, right? But as we're coming into these troublesome times, right? Let me see. Let's go to what is that? I think it's in Jeremiah 2. It's Jacob's trouble. As we, yep, 30 and 7. This is Jeremiah 30 and 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right. So as we embark on Jacob's trouble, or the time of Jacob's trouble, right? Um, that pride is going to be exposed, right? And their place in, let's say, society is going to be exposed, where they should be as far as class goes, where they should be as far as the order goes. Matter of fact, oh, it's Corinthians, I believe. Yep, First Corinthians 11 and 7. It says this. Let's see. Yep. It says, this is First Corinthians 11 and 3. It says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High, right? And so this order is going to be pushed in the forefront, because in times of trouble, what are the women going to do, right? And those troublesome times, what are they going to be able to gain for themselves, right? When their let's say their sexual organs, let's say, are not as at the top of the commodity, when food now and shelter now and clothing and raiment now is the commodity. What are they going to do when they can't bat their eyes at a man, or manipulate their way into a man's resources? What are they going to do? It's going to be very, very difficult for them to survive in these coming times, right? um Let me go here. I was thinking of this while I was reading that. This is Second Ezra's 15. Second Ezra's 15, and where it says right here, 15 and 16. Let me go to 15 here. Let me go to 14. This is Second Ezra's 15 and 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." It says, actually, let me touch on this again. So this is for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, right? And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? And so, as you read through this, especially into the next verse, this is what's coming, right? Where you have uh, man against man, mano y mano, where you're out there in the wilderness, so to speak, um, fending for yourself, right? Trying to find food, trying to find water, trying to find shelter, right? That these are the times that are coming, man. Especially uh, when they implement the C-hip, right? That's gonna be a big change in the world, right? Where if you can't get into a grocery store, imagine what the people who refuse that C-hip are going to do when they're not allowed to get into the store, when they're not allowed to open up the freezers in the stores, or when they're not allowed to open those gates to get into the Walmarts and the Price Choppers and the Stop and Shops and the Shaws and the Piggly Wigglies. When they're unable to get into these stores, right? People are going to be going crazy, man, right? And that lack of faith that women have is going to force them to be with somebody who's stable in mind, which is going to be the man, right? Um, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power." Meaning what? They're going to take matters into their own hands, right? They're going to take matters into their own hands. When people get hungry, right? One thing that always stood out to me, that Elder Apostle Tahar said some years and years ago, that when a man is backed into the corner and he's out of options, he gonna come out swinging, man. He gonna come out swinging, and that's true. That's true. Like, when you're in these dire situations, like what's coming here, right? You tend to hunker down and do what you got to do to fight, but women don't have that same let's say capacity to tap into, and this is why a man is going to become so valuable, right? That's a matter of fact. It says what is that? More precious than fine gold. I think that's Isaiah 13. Yeah, it's Isaiah 13:12. It says, "I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir." Right? Why? Why is that man going to be so precious? Because those men, especially the men who are stable in mind, like the scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. The men who are stable in mind, they're going to be sought after. Because it's like, oh, that guy is sure. That guy is confident in what's going on. While every other man is chaotic, right? This man or these men, they seem to be calm and they know what to do and they know how to move, because the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to be dealing with us in a special kind of way, man. Right? And so that's what's going to make us precious in those days, right? A woman is not going to be able to handle sedition, right? You might mess around and get yourself killed, right? Trying to bat your eyes at some man when when they're hungry, trying to get food, right? And that's the way I think of this. Like, the time of Jacob's trouble is going to be like, like the movie The Sons of Men, or like that movie The Road, where it's you're scratching and scrounging for food, for water, for shelter, right? But then there's this uh, pilgrimage that happens, because you can't stay in one place, because the next person gonna try to get your spot, right? That movie The Road was like it gave you let's say for lack of a better term, like this anxiety that you felt watching the movie, because you never knew what was at the next turn. Where were they going to sleep, or like the Book of Eli, right? You never knew what was going to happen, what was next for him. And that's what's going to be happening in these times. It's going to be difficult for these women. Let's go to Micah 7:10, right? It says, "Then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, Where is the Lord thy power?" Right? "Mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the mire in the streets." Right? And that's what's going to be going on, man. That's what's going to be going on. Um, because going back to my original point, right? The men in ancient times knew what to expect out of a woman, right? And because they knew what to expect out of a woman, they knew how to treat her, right? To train her out of those wild, wanton ways, right? Yeah, I was thinking about this as I was, just thinking through the content here that I was gonna bring out. I said the woman, there's a reason why the 5%ers call the men gods and the woman earths, right? The woman is a lot like the earth, in that when you buy a piece of land, right, and it's untilled, right, what do you got to do? You got to remove the stones from it, right? You got to break up the earth so that it's plantable, right? Then when you get to a time or a place where that land becomes plantable, then you got to plant seeds in it. Some of the seeds might take root and grow, some may not. Then when they start to grow, you gotta prune them so that you can make sure that you're getting good fruit from that seed or from that crop. And the woman is no different, right? The woman is this wild vessel, untamed, right? And you as the husband, right, got to go in and you got to break up those old roots that are in the soil, right? You got to plant seeds in there, new seeds in there, so she can understand what you are, right? Because in a perfect world, right, women would be being trained by their fathers, right? But as we know, same thing that the young men suffer from. Women don't have fathers to train them up, right? So when a woman gets to you, she's wild. She's wild, untamed, uncontrollable, right? And so you gotta break her in, so to say, right? And so because they are untamed, they're gonna get a big smack in the face, man. They're gonna get a big smack in the face when that time comes. Let me think. I'm thinking of another scripture here. Uh, let me see here. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let me go to Sirach 26 here. Sirach 26. Let me scroll back up here. Sirach. Where are you? Sirach. We're gonna go to 26 and 25. Let me start at Yep. Let me start at 22. This is Sirach 25 and 26 and 22. Um, yep. It says, "An harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband." Right. so, so this is what are most women in today's day and age? I forgot you can't really click on these. It'll go to a link. Right. They're considered harlots. Why? Because every man since they were of age, around 13, 14, 15, right? I remember being in high school and girls was, they was getting busy, you know, right? So they were starting their harlotship even then, right? But what should a harlot be counted as? As spittle. In those times, man, I always think of this, right? The Lord is going to give us the ability to see what type of shit you was talking when times were good, right? When you were free, when you had liberty, right? What type of woman you were. And we're gonna be able to look in your spirit. And if you wasn't right, we're gonna turn you away. You know? It says, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord, right? So we're gonna have the ability to be able to see in those times, like, all right, this is a woman that I want. This is this woman right here. She's calm, she's quiet, she's apt to listen, right? A dishonest woman contemneth shame, but an honest woman will reverence her husband. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, right? But she that is shamefaced will fear the Lord, right? And those are the kinds of women that we're gonna be looking for. Shamefaced, humble, full of humility, right? A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. Let me go to the previous chapter. Gets into it a little bit over there too. Previous chapter 25 and let's see. Yep, 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 yep. Okay, verse 16. This is Sirach 25 and 16. It says, "I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman." Right. So we gonna look at, they're gonna be coming knocking on our little shelter, wherever we might be. Right. And you're gonna look, and you're gonna be able to look into her spirit to see what kind of woman she was when times were good. Right. When she was able to get that sewing. Right. When she was able to get that makeup done or nails done. What type of attitude you had towards men in those times. right? And they're all exposing themselves. Like I said, you take a snapshot of social media, they're all on there. Take note of those kind of women. Those arrogant women are not going to be chosen in those days, man. You know, there's a lot of women out here in the world, a lot more women than men, and so we're gonna be able to pick the finest of them, the cream of the crop, if you will, right? It says, the wickedness of a woman changeth her face and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. And man, I've seen it. And I'm sure other brothers can attest to this. When you see that dark look on a woman's face, like she getting ready to do some evil shit, it's scary, man. It's scary. They can get extremely conniving. It says, her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. Like, this fucking bitch, man. When he start hearing what his woman is doing out there, you know, it says, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. As the climbing up a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man, right? And here's a good point here, right? Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure, right? The woman, as there's a functionality to it. Again, like I said in the beginning, we understood what the use of a woman was in ancient times, right? Right. So a woman, of course every man wants to have a beautiful woman on his arm, right? That's just the nature of a man. But when you understand her function, right, all those things are less important. And honestly, I'd recommend you get something a little that's a little tender eyed. I recommend it, man. Your life would be a lot easier, right? It says, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger and impudence and much reproach. And as a whole, right, the woman have been able to maintain men, right? And this is why they're so hateful, and this is why they're so full of anger and reproach, right? Because men have now, as it said in Jeremiah, right, that a woman shall compass a man. Now men are taking their social cues from women, and you hear these men, the black woman is God, and they carry the same feminist views as women do, man. They don't even know what it's like to tell a woman no. You ever tell a woman no? There's power in that. They think that they got to cater to a woman's every whim, right? But there's power in telling a woman no, or telling her to shut up and go sit down somewhere. You're talking too much. There's power in that, man. You know. But because we, men as a whole have moved away from that idea. Look, what are they? They're wild. They're wild, right? And when that time comes, man, when the time of Jacob's trouble is upon us, when times aren't so easy, right? They're gonna have a hard time, man. They're gonna have a hard time, right? So that's it. I felt like I was all over the place, but I pray that was edifying. As always, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Chakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Honor and salutations to the elect. With that, I say shalom.